Hi everyone, Steve here. Just wanted to do a quick reaction to the series premiere of Daryl Dixon, the Walking Dead spinoff. Just something quick. I'm not going to go beat by beat for each scene. I kind of just wanted to get some general thoughts out there about the characters, what we have at the plot so far, and how does this feel as a Walking Dead spinoff overall, and as a continuation specifically for this character. So I think I kind of want to break it down, just general highlights. I really thought that the landscape and just the general cinematography, like it just feels like a different show. Certainly, I think the location scouts did a great job just finding just beautiful locations for this first episode specifically, and just based on the trailer for the season as a whole, we're getting some epic stuff coming forward. I like how singular the focus of this episode was. I mean, granted, it's just the first episode, but it really much like Dead City. I feel like was it Dead Island? I don't. It changed a couple times. I kind of forget the Negan and Maggie one. I just love how focused these spin-offs feel now. As we are getting a little more of an intimate look at these characters and kind of their continued stories. So the landscape, the singular focus, I really liked the cultural differences. We didn't get to really leave America in the main series. I didn't really follow Fear the Walking Dead, but I mean I know that they left America. But as far as like the main series goes, if you really only stuck to that, you're not quite used to different cultures and how other parts of the world have responded to the outbreak. So it's kind of cool to see, and just down to like the language differences and like what they call them, right? So look at my notes here. Pardon my pardon my French. Pardon my French pronunciation because it's gonna be bad. So apologies. But and so instead of walkers, they call them les affames, the hungry ones, which is such kind of a cool little difference. And just on that alone, we are starting to get different kinds of walkers. They didn't really explain why, but we got burners in this one, and so just acidic blood, and so Daryl's fighting them at one point, and he gets a burn on his arm. Like I thought that was just really cool. I know we got a little bit of that more towards the end of the main Walking Dead series. Walkers that are adapting. Whether they can climb or they just seem a little bit not self-aware, but just getting smarter, adaptable to certain situations. So those are just kind of general notes and positives that I liked. But let's go like character by character. I think Daryl's one of my favorites. I mean, it's a fan favorite. He's a fan favorite for everyone. For a reason, he's a fan favorite. So I think it makes sense. It's interesting to see him kind of be a lone wolf again. Having lost his brother. He's not with Carol at this moment. We get some glimpses, like some little flashbacks of like Judith, and it seems like he's on some sort of mission to get back, perhaps to the Commonwealth, back to Judith. They don't quite explain too much. We just kind of get, he stumbles on this group of people. We later find out that it's on a ship, and they're working with these guerres run by Jeanette. And say, I don't know, guerre. Anyone who's good with French, please feel free to correct my pronunciations. But yeah, this like militant group. And they presume he's dead. They throw him overboard. That's how he kind of washes up on the south of France, where he comes across this abbey, this group of nuns. But yeah, just interesting again to see him kind of be this lone wolf character without really anyone he's directly tied to with him, and him just trying to survive and maybe reconnect and try to get back to America at this point. But he's interestingly enough, he's a little quicker to trust, and I don't know if it's out of desperation. Like, he first runs into Maribel and her father, and he trades them like medical supplies for food, and then they get attacked by this militant group, and quickly they turn on him, and they knock him out, and that's kind of where we get Isabel, who brings him back to the Abbey, kind of nurses him back to health. Maribel's interesting. I thought we were going to get more of her father before the militant group uh, kills them off. Kills him off, but I'd be curious to see if they cross paths again. Certainly, like, having trusted them at first, and it's kind of them turning on him. I'm curious if he's going to be so keen to trust them again so quickly. But yeah, and then Isabel, who's one of the nuns at the Abbey, reveals that they have this boy, right? Laurent, which kid characters in The Walking Dead. Say what you will about Carl. I loved Carl. But fans, are kind of back and forth when it comes to kids in these series. But Laurent's kind of cool, but it's interesting. Like, you were getting this whole, like, Messiah story where this group of, I know I wrote it down. The Union of Hope. Don't think I have the French translation for that, but the Union of Hope, it's like these, this like spiritual coalition, and they believe that Laurent is this Messiah who's supposed to help this community rise and kind of usher in like a new dawn of man, of humans. And so they think Daryl is like this messenger, this person who's going to escort him to this like Buddhist leader, who's going to help kind of raise and bring up Laurent and nurture him, until he's like, I guess, of age. So it's quite. They even have him kind of like looking a little Jesus-y with his long hair. So he's clearly very smart, and very spiritually minded. So he kind of talks a little Messiah, but it's interesting. There's this kind of whole like loss of faith, which I don't remember them really touching on that with Daryl on the main series, but it's certainly interesting to have such a stoic character like Daryl be in these moments of reflection with these spiritual characters. You kind of do get a little bit more, just a different side of him that we're not really quite used to seeing with Daryl. But yeah, and then at the end, yeah, so we find out that Jeanette, the leader of this militant group, is kind of like in cahoots with this these. I guess I don't know if they're part of the same militant group or this other group of people who threw Daryl overboard, but they're doing experiments on the ship, and they're at this port that Daryl agrees to head towards. Isabel says like this portal, it's kind of a safe zone, sort of. It's going to be where he can kind of get back to where he wants to be. So he's going to help bring Laurent back up with Isabel. So presumably that'll kind of be where the I guess the final battle between the two will be. But speaking of battles, I really enjoyed the nun versus militia scene that we got. That was something else. Another kind of thing that I liked was this abbey. I guess these abbeys had medieval weaponry, weapons rooms. So you kind of had these like warrior nuns, and they're kind of battling, and only a handful of them survive, unfortunately, but they take down a couple themselves. So, go nuns. Reminded me a little bit of, there was this Peacock series, Mrs. Davis, with Betty Gilpin, who plays a nun, and she's pretty badass in that. So kind of gave me little vibes of that. But anyway, not to go off too far, of course, but I think that was those are my general thoughts. I do kind of like this like quasi Messiah story. I don't think that the show is generally going to go into too much like literal spirituality. I don't think we're going to kind of go into the supernatural. I don't think we're getting into that at all, but it's certainly going to be like faith. I'm getting a little faith versus science kind of. There's like, because of the experiment stuff, we'll kind of see if that's where they're heading, but I'll be curious to see. where they go. The preview looks exciting. Certainly some good battles coming our way. I'm curious to see what they're doing with the experiments on these walkers. If they're the ones that are causing the burners to exist, rather than it being more of like a natural thing that's occurring. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. What you liked, what you didn't like about this episode, what you're looking forward to in the rest of the series. And yeah, so keep an eye out for this. I'm going to try to drop them, if not Sunday night, Monday morning. So, see you all next week. Take care.